another blitz. Hurts takes it right up the gut. Touchdown Eagles. Here's the deep ball. Got hit as he let it go. Oh, DeVonta Smith. What a catch. From 54 for the win. On the way. It is there. And the Eagles remain unbeaten.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Flyin Style Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Mitchell, back with my co-host, Stephen Maslij.
What's up, Matt? How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. The NFL Draft is coming up very shortly this week. It's a big time for NFL fans. A lot of news going around, a lot of rumors, lots of headlines, popping up left and right. And today we're going to be bringing you our very own Flyin Style mock draft of the first round. Complete first round mock. We thought it might be a little difficult to throw together a 7-round draft. So
it would be way too long of an episode. And none of you guys are watching all of that.
We're going to keep it simple here. We're going to run it through the first round. Each team's draft picks, what we think, what we expect from certain players, what kind of impact we think they're going to have. Both of us have a mock draft prepared today, and we're going to, go back and forth on our picks, and hopefully we'll see if either of us happen to be right down the line. So before we get into that, we did want to update you on a few Eagles headlines, most notably everybody's big wish list item here with DeVonta Smith getting re-signed to a 3-year contract extension worth $75 million. We have him locked up for the foreseeable future, and I'm sure every Eagles fan is just as elated as I am about it. It's huge news. We all love DeVonta Smith. I don't want to see him in any other team's uniform anytime soon or in the future. So, happy boy.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to have him for foreseeable future. And obviously he got paid, so he's happy. He doesn't have to worry about – he's always been a guy that's solid, very healthy type guy. So, I'm praying for no injury, but at least he's signed, so he doesn't have to worry about any risk. But he always goes out there and balls. I'm glad to have him locked up, him and AJ, for the foreseeable future. And what more could you ask for? Because now we don't need to draft a receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. And, throughout his whole career, the being too small thing, he's always beat the allegations of the durability tests. And, he's had a fairly injury-free career. He's had a few bumps and bruises, anything crazy. So, and then another thing to excite you Eagles fans is just want to tell you a little bit about how he's magic once again in his cap hits for the next 4 years, or 5 rather. For 2024, DeVonta Smith's cap hit will be $8.1 million. For 2025, it'll be $7.6 million. For 2026, it'll be $10.7 million. For 2027, it'll be $14.8. And for 2028, it'll be $20.1. So we do have him locked up through 2028 because we are, I think, something about his 5th-year option. I missed that detail. But, yeah, DeVonta Smith is back, and he is staying. So huge news there. And to go forward with more extensions, we also extended Jordan Mailata to a 3-year extension worth $66 million. Another integral piece to our offense, somebody that has become a household name. One of the biggest draft steals, maybe in history, Jordan Mailata. So huge news for us.
I mean, cornerstone, you lock up the left side of that line with him and Landon this offseason. And it's just great to have. I mean, you have a franchise quarterback. You got 2 franchise guys on the left side. We're going to get into more who I think we're going to draft for the right side, but Matt thinks differently. But we're going to get into that. But it's just so nice to have, not to have that worry. Obviously, you always want depth and everything, but having those guys that you can just rely on. Like, a left tackle is so hard to find in the league. Just a reliable guy that you're going to have we're going to probably extend him again if he stays healthy and everything. So I'm so happy. And
Absolutely.
Once again, I don't know do you know the cap hit that he gave us, or?
I do not know the cap hit on his contract, unfortunately. I only found DeVonta's, but I would like to imagine that Howie has either a plan with him, either put it in motion, or is going to restructure him the way he tends to do with Lane Johnson's contract every couple years. So
it's fantastic that Jeffrey Lurie is able to give that money up front to these guys and not let it affect the team at all, and be able to sign guys no matter what. And
absolutely,
guys are sticking around, still get paid, still happy, and let's go. Like,
it's huge stuff, dude. We have got ourselves an owner that, really wants to see the team win and knows how much it means to the city. So, we're lucky enough to have somebody like Jeffrey Lurie, even though he's, gotten a little too involved here and there sometimes, but we got to appreciate Jeffrey Lurie for, what he does for the city, what he does for the team, and the fact that he, like you said, puts all that money up front and guaranteed money right off the signing bonus and allows us to, really build a fundamental team the way we want to.
Yeah. Ain't no complaints.
Yeah, and lastly, in Eagles news, we did have last year's signee cornerback Isaiah Rodgers reinstated by the NFL after his suspension of all of last season for betting. If you missed out on that scenario, on that situation last year, the Colts had 3 players that were betting on NFL games. They were subsequently suspended by the league for each player given a different punishment based on severity, and Isaiah Rodgers unfortunately got the brunt of it with a full year suspension. But how he used the opportunity of him getting released to pick up value in the corner spot, because Isaiah Rodgers was playing well for the Colts before he was released. He was a full-time starter, had some success, could be a big piece in our defense this year. We've mentioned it a few times on the podcast. So big news to hear that he was not further suspended, as rumors were swirling about that. But we are going to be getting him back on the team next year, and will be either a depth piece or even potentially a starter on the team next year.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see what he can do, what he can bring. He's obviously had a season off, so a lot of question marks with him, but we'll see. Get him in the camp, and can't hurt, right? I mean, was a talented guy when he was on the field. So I hope he's able. He was working out his entire season was off season. So.
Yeah, he's had a long off season.
Doesn't happen very often, but we'll see. We'll see how it comes back, and I hope the best for him. So
yeah, absolutely. It's been a slow off season, not a whole lot of news. Obviously, we've had the free agency period. We've had the lead up to the draft. It's getting into that draft time. That's been all the news basically up till now. So now that we have you guys updated, without further ado, we're going to jump right into this mock draft. So I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go with pick 1. Maz is going to go pick 2, and we're going to do a little back and forth here. And if we have any differences, we're going to, explain why or what the reasoning is for that. So with the first pick in the draft this year, I have the Chicago Bears taking Caleb Williams, which shouldn't be a shock to anybody.
Shock me.
After the huge shock. Caleb Williams has been the projected number 1 for quite some time now, and it became very, very apparent when they traded away Justin Fields. Became no question in that regard. Caleb Williams is going to be a Bear. He's been putting out a lot of cockiness into the world since he's been projected to be number 1, and I hope he can live up to it, because he's been more of a talker than I expected him to be. But he's always been able to back it up his whole career. He's obviously crazy talented, got a crazy arm. He's athletic. His biggest thing is that he's creative. It's why he's gotten a lot of comparisons to Patrick Mahomes. The mix of creativity and arm strength is really what goes into his, not to mention that he's got the prototypical stereotype QB build that really benefits him as well. So any thoughts on Caleb Williams?
I'm not. I won't say I'm a fan of him, but I know he's going to go first overall. I know he's a really talented guy. I don't have much more to say. I just want to see him be on an NFL field. We've seen him at SC. We've seen him do his thing, and the potential he has. I don't know if he's able to live up to it. I know, like everyone, I know T-Law is still a great quarterback, but T-Law was another quote unquote generational guy that is still kind of progressing. I just don't know if Caleb Williams is going to step right in and be a top tier. Like it's just really hard to do. It's hard to do what like CJ Stroud did last year. I don't know if he's able to live up to that. Even like CJ Stroud, but like it's just such a great season. It's hard for these guys, like these young quarterbacks, to just come in. Like you see Bryce Young last year, like everyone's already, he's not a bust. It's hard. It's the first year in the NFL. Obviously he's been this guy since he was in high school. He's been this number one guy, but number one. So I hope the best for him. I know he's going number one. And if he doesn't go number one, then I don't know what the Bears are doing. So, but
it
so
would be a shock.
He is the guy. He's going to be the guy. And will he live up to it? I don't know.
It's hard to say. If I do have a few arguments against him, honestly. I'm not a Caleb Williams hater by any means. I know exactly what he brings to the table and what he has to present to the NFL. And I think that he absolutely has what it takes to be a top tier quarterback in the NFL. However, I do think there's a few things that go against him in terms of his immediate success, like you said. Being the Bears are, they've been dysfunctional for the past few years. I know they bolstered themselves pretty good in this offseason. They actually look like they have a pretty good roster put together. But there's going to be some chemistry problems. Everybody's new. It's a whole new system for everybody. Not a lot of, returning veteran guys on that team. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic to keep an eye on. Secondly, I know that USC tends to be labeled as a QB university for the NFL. I have seen one QB come out of USC and be anything decent in the NFL. And that was a relatively slightly above average, career. And that was Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer had a few really good years in there, but he turned into a bit of a journeyman at the end and threw a lot of picks even when he was playing. I did like Carson Palmer, but my point being is that I never really tend to see USC QBs pan out very well.
You
obviously,
can call him an Oklahoma quarterback. You can call him Oklahoma. He had his best year at Oklahoma in 2022.
I guess. I suppose he's become known for his USC. It's where he really got his hype and got his Heisman, and had a second run at Heisman before falling off a little bit at the end of the season there. Not really at his own fault. And lastly, that's the last point I want to get into is the fact that you were saying you just want to see him in an NFL uniform. He put up really big numbers against the schools that he was playing, but USC really didn't have a very strong strength of schedule throughout their season this past year. He had a lot of games where he was putting up 400, 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. But we really do, obviously, at this point, want to see him against NFL-level talent because there are bits and pieces of Caleb Williams where you see him get creative and do something really crazy, but it's like, will that really work at the NFL level? Like, probably not. And I do think that he has a lot of I feel like he had a lot of those situations at USC. And that's something I felt every time I watched Caleb Williams was like, yeah, he's got that talent for sure. But is he going to have the headspace up top when he gets there to the NFL to, keep that consistency that he has at USC? So I do think that you're going to see him struggle a little bit at the beginning. And I think that that's going to take a toll on him. But I think that you're still going to see him have, he's still going to be in the Rookie of the Year race. He's still going to have a great year with the Bears. And I do expect him to, turn into something great eventually. You always hope that from a number one pick. Yeah. But why don't you go into the next pick?
So Washington's up at number 2. They're going to go QB here. I just think it's a debate whether it's going to be Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I think they're going to go Drake May just because Dan Quinn. I think it's going to be his Matt Ryan. I think it's the prototypical guy that Dan Quinn likes to incorporate in his offense. Speaking of a team that's made a lot of acquisitions this offseason, they have so many acquisitions. You're not going to be marquee name type guys. I mean, you see Eckler on there. You see, I can't even name off the top of my head, but it's a lot of guys, a lot of changes in that Washington Commanders organization. That they need someone to lead them. Obviously, right now Sam Howell was playing last year. He's playing decent, but he's not going to be that guy for the future. Drake May was the second guy coming into this draft. A lot of guys have Jaden Daniels at the steal now. Obviously, he had a great season last year. Drake May had a little bit of a down season for 2022, but 2022 he lit it the hell up. Obviously, he played more games, but he had 4,200 yards, 37 TDs, and 7 interceptions 2022. He's the type of guy that I think that Dan Quinn likes. I think it's more a pocket passer type of guy, and I think it's going to only help the receivers grow, especially Terry, in that aspect. I think it should be, personally, I think it should be Jaden Daniels, but I just don't think it's the right fit for them, and I think that they get their guy. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I've got Drake there too. I do think that he fits the system very well. I think you explained great that he fits really well in a Dan Quinn kind of system and what he has, used throughout his career. I do know that there have been a lot of lists that have had Drake May as potentially the number one QB prospect on the board. It's just become so marquee that Caleb Williams is the number one guy and that he's going to be the number one guy, and he has so much upside. I think what Drake May has here is that he's the most NFL-ready quarterback in the draft right now. And I think that he's a very safe pick. You don't know if you're going to get the kind of potential that you might get for a Jaden Daniels or a Caleb Williams, but you do know that you're going to get a good pocket passer that's going to be able to distribute the ball and pass accurately and do his thing. And he has all the tools to do it. He's a big guy. He's not a small quarterback. So I do expect them to go with him there. It just makes sense for them. And that's pretty much it. So moving on right to number 3. For the New England Patriots, we're going with the other guy. We're going to go Jaden Daniels here. Obviously, the Patriots moved on from Mac Jones this offseason, making it pretty evident that they too are going after a quarterback. And, to me, honestly, Jaden Daniels, or before I get into Jaden Daniels, I want to talk about the Patriots culture. And obviously, they've built a culture around Bill Belichick, and everybody in the league tends to know what to expect from Bill Belichick. And it's like a tough, hard-nosed guy that's by the books, knows the rules, smart guys, this and that. And you've grown to see Bill Belichick take these guys that aren't the marquee name, but are going to be that guy that steps up big. And I think that with him gone, I think you're going to see a big culture change. And I think that Jaden Daniels fits perfectly into that role. Just a complete opposite quarterback build from Mac Jones, scrambler, guy that has a ton of athletic ability, great arm, won the Heisman last year, put up huge numbers. A lot of people don't even realize that he put up similar, if not better numbers to Joe Burrow's historical season with LSU. And he is a little bit small. He's taken a lot of big hits in college. He seems not to know how to protect himself very well. He gets a little too rambunctious with his running ability and puts himself into some danger, and that might cause some concern for some teams. But I think he's gonna go into New England and turn the culture around and kind of just change what those fans are used to around there. So that's where I've got him going.
No, I completely agree. I think that if Jaden Daniels isn't there and Drake May is there, I think the Patriots actually move out of this spot or even draft a tackle here. But if they have Jaden Daniels there, I think they're staying. They're trying to throw some rumors around that they don't want to take a quarterback. I think that's more so that they try to put it out there for teams. If Jaden Daniels isn't there, they're going to move. They're going to either move down or maybe even take like a Joe Alt or something. That's what I see happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jaden Daniels is terrific. He's only progressed throughout his entire career. You want to talk about ball protection, 40 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Just a guy he's very careful with the football. He's able to scramble. I mean, he gives you that a guy that's I don't know Jared Mayo well as a coach, but it gives you kind of a new culture building, like you mentioned. Obviously, they still have the Patriots culture, but they're in a rebuilding stage. They're not making any Super Bowl runs at this point. I mean, not that I know of, but they don't look like a type of roster that's going to. And I think you get a guy like Jaden Daniels in there. I don't think he's going to be super great his first year. I think you add weapons in the later rounds. I think you add weapons maybe next draft. And I think that's going to be a great fit in that new culture. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. If that's kind of contingent on if Drake May goes to Washington. But yeah, I think that's what they're going to. So.
Well, to add to that point, I did forget to mention that Jaden Daniels did make it public news that he did not want to go to the Commanders, which will probably put a damper on them trying to take him. So,
well, I did not hear that. Was that like Twitter?
It was Twitter, Bleacher Report. I got Instagram. I saw it on all the platforms. He came out and said he would prefer to play not for it. He literally said he would prefer to play for a team that's non-Commanders.
Okay, Eli.
So it seems like he wants to go to New England, knowing the way that this draft is probably going to go. Obviously, we've had 3 quarterbacks in the first 3 picks, so I guess we'll see. But I think that those 3 are probably about as close to a lock as you can get. Although, obviously, as we mentioned, Drake and Jaden could switch up. But based on that report, I'd say maybe not. But jumping into the next one, why don't you tell us your 4th pick?
I got Marvin Harrison Jr. going here. Hollywood's gone out of Arizona. They need someone for Kyler to throw to. Kyler's the type of guy. I think Marvin Harrison is a generational type receiver in this draft. I think that he's just the way he goes up and grabs the ball is unlike anyone I've kind of seen. You saw Jamar, but like Jamar was hurt his last year. It's just seeing him this year and knowing he's going to be the top pick, even with Kyle McCord. When he had the 50-50 ball, he grabs it every single time. He's going against top level talent all year long. I think that with Kyler, he's going to be like even better than he was in college. And I think he's going to be great. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to live up to the name of Marvin Harrison. And I have no doubt that he's going to be sick. So,
yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you. All 4 picks we're pretty much on the same page. I've got them taking Marvin Harrison too. Sorry. Obviously, a local Philly guy, went to St. Joe's Prep, grew up playing on the same football field as me at the 21st Ward in Roxborough.
Represent.
Yeah, I got to see Marvin Harrison around there every few games so often. Cool stuff. It's cool to see him, get older, do the things he's doing, and, be a top-tier generational player the way he's seeming to be. So I absolutely expect the Cardinals to go Marvin Harrison here. However, I do want to make note that I think that both the Cardinals and the Chargers will be taking wide receivers, and I'll get into that in a second. And the reason I'm saying this is because I think that they're both very easy candidates to trade down a pick or two to let a QB needy team come in and take a QB that they need to make sure they get. Being, whether that will be J.J. McCarthy or, maybe a sneak of Michael Penix or Bo Nix. I don't expect to see those guys go in the first day, but anyway, you could see either the Vikings or the Giants try to trade up to that pick. But either way, also want to mention that you could see the Chargers try to jump Arizona and, swap wide receivers that they would be picking subsequently. But alas, either way, I've got the Cardinals going Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't see any other option for them here, honestly. I think that's the no-brainer pick. And I think he'll be really, really productive with Kyler Murray. And Kyler Murray needs that downfield guy like he had in DeAndre Hopkins. Not DeAndre Hopkins.
He was there, but
yeah. Anyway, I'm going to jump right into the next pick for the Chargers at number 5. I have them taking Malik Neighbors from LSU. Obviously, we saw the decimation of the Chargers wide receiver core this offseason in terms of them letting go of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and being left with Quentin Johnston, who had a less than pleasurable rookie year. So they're a very, very wide receiver needy team, and I absolutely expect them to go for one of the top guys here. Whether that be jumping, like I said, to try to get Marvin Harrison or just going with Malik Neighbors. I don't think you can go wrong with either. A lot of people have Marvin Harrison as the better prospect, but I think, you're looking at I'm not comparing them to these guys, but you're looking at like a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase kind of deal. So like I think that's an easy pick for them. I think they need that star power for Justin Herbert. I think there's definitely a few other needs for them. 100%. The Chargers are in a bit of a weird purgatory ground right now in terms of all their needs and having a new coach and a new culture come in. But I think this is the best way you can, provide for your young quarterback that, needs to continue to prove that he can take teams to where they need to be. And that'll benefit them massively. So
I actually have a little different take here. I think they're going to go Joe Alt. I think they're going to take the best tackle in this draft. And I know they have Rashawn Slater at left tackle, but Jim Harbaugh is the type of guy that wants to run the football. I think it's just makes too much sense for them not to find talent elsewhere. I think this draft is really deep with receivers. I think Malik Neighbors is a great pick. It's a flashy pick. They could I just don't think they're using on Malik Neighbors here. It makes a lot of sense. I understand why. I just think they find talent elsewhere. I don't know if they believe in Quentin Johnson at all yet. I think Malik Neighbors can play the slot if he wanted to, and Quentin Johnson played outside. I just think that it's just too much to pass up on. I think the best lineman in the draft here, and I think Harbaugh is not going to pass that up. I think maybe you see them sneak in maybe toward the end of the round if they see a guy slipping that they like, because there is a lot of talent at receiver in this draft. And I think they're going to go Joel. He was a beast at Notre Dame. Didn't let up. I couldn't find the exact stat, but he was unbelievable and just a cornerstone of any team that he goes to. So I just think it makes a lot of sense protecting Herbert because they had a lot of trouble with that. And I think that's going to be the number one priority because at the end of the day, Herbert's their guy no matter what. And even if Malik Neighbors turns out to be like an AJ type guy, he's supposed to it doesn't matter if he doesn't have it on line. So that's where I think I'm going with this.
No, I can't fault you for that at all. I mean, as I was mentioning, they have a lot of holes and a lot of places they can fill. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with going after the number one, prospect at tackle. And like you said, probably the best O-lineman in the draft. I don't think it's even probably. I think it's definitely. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But, like I said, I personally think they do have Rashawn Slater on the other side and not having anyone. I mean, I don't even want to consider Quentin Johnson as having anyone because of it was one of the worst seasons I've seen from a wide receiver ever. No joke. I mean, the drops he had were so they weren't even in stride drops or anything that just went through his hands. He was just straight dropping those shits. So I actually like Quentin Johnson. I hope he turns it around and has a better year this year. And it's very possible. He's a rookie, new setting, a lot of things going on. I completely get it. But I think that having a guy that can produce for Justin Herbert is more important than – not more important because there's nothing more important than a left tackle. I get that. But
they have a left tackle. It's just I think it's going to –
isn't Rashawn Slater their right tackle?
Is he the right tackle?
I think he might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. But
I left tackle. But
I'm thinking of Madden. I feel like in Madden he was a right tackle, but I honestly don't pay a whole lot of attention to offensive linemen from other teams.
But
either way, I don't think either of us can go wrong with that. Huh?
I said we are going a little slow. It's gonna be a long episode if we.
Yes, it is. We're gonna have to keep it moving. So, with that being said, we're gonna keep it moving. For the next pick, I had a projected trade at this pick. This is supposed to be the New York Giants pick. I have them trading back with the Minnesota Vikings, who I have taking J.J. McCarthy, QB from Michigan. A lot of people have the Giants trying to get one of these quarterbacks in the draft. I personally think that they're in a position where they obviously already paid Daniel Jones. They did all this and that for him. He's getting that money. He's going to be a huge cap hit. He's going to be hell if you try to, get another quarterback and not use Daniel Jones. I say there's no reason for them not to give him another chance. Let him try to prove himself. He just got injured last year. Didn't really do anything that bad after getting his contract. So I say they should give him another chance, move down, get somebody who's going to bolster, another spot on their team because they're still a very needy team. And the Vikings move up and get their guy who are a much more quarterback needy team. And JJ McCarthy is the kind of guy who just wins games. They obviously use the run game a lot in Michigan, but I think that when you saw JJ McCarthy throw the ball, he threw dots. He was accurate. He made the play he was supposed to make. He's a very smart quarterback. And I'm curious to see what it'll be like when he gets more of a role being just the thrower. I feel like you didn't get to see him throw a ton, but I think what you did see out of him is you always saw him make the right play.
Yeah, I think he's a really smart guy. I mean, obviously I had the Chargers not taking Neighbors here. I think the Giants, kind of going off your point, I think the Giants are going to go. I personally think the Giants are going to go to, I know this is where it gets a little confusing, but I think they're going to go Neighbors. I just kind of the same reason. I don't see them giving up on Daniel Jones yet. There's no reason to. I think it's too high of draft capital too. I could also definitely see them moving out of the spot. Even if the Chargers go Neighbors, I still think they might take a Dunze or try to maybe even move down a little bit and try to get Dunze. Like I think they're just missing on the receivers. They see that that Dallas has CD, we got AJ, Smitty. Obviously, like the Commanders have potential in Terry. Like they just don't have that guy. They try to have that guy in. I can't even name his name right now. Hyatt, but I just think they get a number one guy. I think they try to do everything to give Daniel Jones as many chances as he can because they did sign him. So I just don't. It would be a very silly move for them to try to draft a quarterback here. For them to draft a quarterback here doesn't make any sense. I definitely see the Vikings moving up and doing it. The Vikings are definitely taking quarterback in this draft, and I definitely see them moving up, but I think it's going to be with a different team. So when we go through that, I think we can just brush over that. But either way, I see the Giants taking someone here that's either Neighbors or Dunze, whoever they favorite, because it's to give Daniel Jones a chance. They need to. Like, they don't have really a choice anymore. Like, it's why would you try to use first round capital unless you can get rid of him for nothing? You don't want to release him because you guys signed him. So that's what they get. And they have a top tier receiver just like the rest of the division.
No, absolutely. If I didn't have the Giants trading back from this pick like I did, then I would have had them taking a wide receiver there too. So absolutely works out. So why don't you go on with the next pick?
For the Titans pick, I have Brock Bowers going here. And this is a little high, I know, for a tight end, and it's very unusual. I just think when they signed Calvin Ridley, this is what told me they're going to get Brock Bowers. I think Brock Bowers is going to be phenomenal. I think Brock Bowers is going to be the best tight end I've seen get drafted, knowing he's going into the draft. Other than I thought Samuel Porter was going to be sick last year. It's obviously been a great weapon out there for the Lions, but you give Will Levis everything. I think they obviously signed Tully Pollard. They're just building weapons for them to try to be great.
Not to mention, young guys always love their tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be his best friend, like on the field. For Will Levis, if you want to go with him, if they want to go with who's the Liberty guy?
I'm blanking right now.
I'm blanking, but if it's Will Levis and you want to stick with him, I think you get him a security.
The Liberty quarterback, Malik Willis.
Willis. Even then, I think it's just Brock Bowers is such a great security guy. He's gonna basically be a receiver. He's gonna be literally Travis Kelce. He can block super well. I think Brock Bowers is sick, and I think they would, if they're gonna move in on Ridley like that. I just don't see a reason they're like. I just don't understand why they paid Ridley. That's why I don't understand why they want to take Brock Bowers. That's my rationale. I don't know if that's a fair rationale, but if they're going in, I didn't expect them to pay Tony Pollard. Like
they have made some not questionable, but just like head turning moves where it's like you're just kind of like head scratching moves where you're just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like,
but then you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, and it's like, oh, like kind of weapons. And then that's why I see this here. As soon as Ridley went there, I was like, Brock Bowers going there.
That's absolutely fair. With my seventh pick for the Titans, I actually have them taking Joe Alt here. Like you mentioned, best lineman in the draft. Just don't have to talk too much about that. I just think that you just got a young quarterback. Whether he's going to be your guy in the future or not, you want to keep him protected. Tackle is a team need of theirs. They've needed to bolster their O-line for a while. And I think that would be huge for them. So they're their needs are very strange in terms of where their needs are at, and they're very interior, non-glamorous, places. So that's why I expect them to just take the easy pick, take the best lineman in the draft, get it done.
Yeah, and it's none of these drafts are going to go right. This is why it's so hard to do because you have this going here, I have this going. It's no one knows, but this is how much it can change. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The entire draft is going to be like this.
Exactly.
All right, who do you got going next to the Falcons?
For the Falcons, I actually have them taking Rome Odunze, or however you pronounce it, Odunze.
I think it's Odunze.
I think that they've obviously been bolstering their young core. They just went out and got Kirk Cousins, $180 million deal, locked him up for a while. You've got Pitts, you've got Drake London out there, and I think you just need another guy. I think you're right there on the cusp of having a completed offense, and when you've got a guy like Odunze sitting right there for you, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't go after it. And you saw them make kind of an unexpected move for a skill position last year and grabbing Bijan Robinson as high as they did. And I just see them doing a similar thing this year in terms of going after, a top tier wide receiver and just bolstering that offense and, filling it out the rest of the way and having a team to work with for Kirk Cousins. So it makes sense to me there.
I can see that. I could definitely see that, especially signing Kirk Cousins, which I did not expect them to pay him that much money. I don't think anyone really did. Obviously, there's allegations, but we don't have to get into that. I think they go their best D lineman here. I have Dallas Turner just because he was prolific on Alabama. He had 11 sacks last year. He was incredible. And I just think they just get the best D lineman in the draft here. I think that it's just basically best position available for them. I think it's going to only help their defense. Their defense has been decent. They have AJ Terrell on the outside. I just don't see them. They either move out of this position or get like best position available or best player available to them. And I think it's going to be D line. And I think if you get the best D lineman at 8 that you think is the best D lineman, and I think Dallas Turner is going to be sick. I just don't know why we do pass up on that, especially when D line's a kind of a need that they need to fulfill. So.
All right, go ahead and give me your next pick.
Here I have the Bears moving out of this position. I have actually that play here. I have the Vikings moving up, and not for the person you think. I don't like JJ McCarthy that much. I think they get Penix here. I think that I thought Penix was going to be a day 2 type guy. I just think that he's shown so much. I know he got hurt, but I just think he's shown so much this year at Washington that it's more so just a tribute to Justin Jefferson. At this point, if they're going to re-sign him, then they need to get a guy that Justin Jefferson likes. And I think that Penix is more prolific than J.J. McCarthy. I think J.J. McCarthy is a very safe type QB. I think J.J. McCarthy is going to be a Will Levis type guy that none of his stuff pops out like Penix popped on paper.
I know. I feel the same way about JJ. I just think that what teams have seen out of him, they've liked, and especially in the draft process, and because of the way that Michigan ran their offense, you didn't get to see those prolific plays. It just wasn't in their system.
Yeah, it was just downhill. And I understand
he was asked what was asked of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think that teams. So I sometimes look like this is the reason I have the Vikings move up here is because I think that teams not talking about a guy as much. They all play the game, right? It's all like this way. Where am I going to go? Who's going to trade up to where? Like, I think that they're going to get Penix. I think they might be their type of guy. I just don't think they want to let him slip. I think that they could try to wait till 11. I just think that they really maybe they don't move up because Chicago. I just think they want to kind of save themselves from anyone moving up to Chicago's pick. So they just get him just to secure Justin Jefferson. That's the only way they're going to keep him is that they draft Justin Jefferson as quarterback. So
yeah. The reason I had them trading up to the Giants pick is because I figured the Giants had the best chance of convincing them that they were going to take their guy. But with my pick here, I have the Bears staying in their spot and taking Dallas Turner here. Like you said, prolific guy from Alabama, had a great career over there, did his thing, put up big numbers, big, strong guy. I don't think there's any question in his talent. whether he's going to be good or not. I think it's pretty clear that he's probably going to have a pretty good career wherever he ends up going. And the Bears obviously got their guy in Caleb Williams at number 1 and fill in just another need. Everybody always needs an edge rusher, and this just fills in that need. Kind of takes a dynamic that the Texans took last year with, Stroud and Will Anderson. So that's my expectation for that. So for the next one, for pick 10, I have the New York Jets taking Brock Bowers here. Once again, a guy we've already talked about a little bit. Dude is just such a great build for a tight end. He's literally like, if you could put together like a build me tight end and, stick it on like a my player and put it on a field, that's Brock Bowers. So I think there's nothing but high expectations from him. Has great blocking ability, great route running, great hands. So I think that's an easy pick for the Jets, who are a tight end needy team, and just fills in that spot for them perfectly.
Yeah, I think they go O-line here. I just think it's only going to I understand. I completely understand why you're going with Brock Bowers there. If he's there, it only makes sense to give Aaron Rodgers more weapons. But what else does Aaron Rodgers need? Coming off an Achilles, I understand he looks like superhuman god.
Yeah, well, don't forget the tight end is still a protection spot.
This is true. This is I already have him going. That's the only reason I
know. I got you.
I completely agree.
Just want to remind you that he plays both those roles.
I know. Oh, 100%. And I just think that Aaron Rodgers needs to drop back in the pocket and get Garrett Wilson. I just think it's unnecessary. I just think that obviously we're on different pages because Brock Bowers wouldn't be there. Even if Brock Bowers is there for me. Yeah, I mean, I love Brock Bowers too much. I would go with him. But
I know what you're saying. Just go ahead and give me your point.
I think they're going to go to the Penn State tackle here. Loma Fashanu. Sorry. So bad. Dude, there's 3 linemen that have like a similar like F-witting, like the Troy Fatuno and Fatshuda, and and the Oregon State guy, like I cannot pronounce any of the names correctly, so I apologize. I just think they just find a tackle that's gonna protect on the others. They just need help. I just think that it's just gonna any way they can bolster this O-line for Aaron Rodgers. I think they can grab another guy late. I think Garrett Wilson's gonna be great. I think they're gonna draft a receiver probably in the second round. Mekhi Becton obviously is fantastic for them, and I'm just saying. Other than that, it's very it's questionable. So I think that they're only they're going to bolster this O-line to help Aaron Rodgers in any way. And Vetchua can play. He can play either side. It seems like he's willing to switch during the combine. He seems like he's a guy that can play either side. So I that's where I think I'm going with this.
All right. So for my next pick, pick 11, I got the New York Giants back in the spot that Minnesota had after the trade, and I have them taking Fashanu here. I think that with them trading back, I think they absolutely need to bolster their O-line. They've had O-line troubles for years now, and grabbing no tackle to me is an easy decision by them. You can never go wrong taking an offensive lineman. There's a few other positions they could try to go for, like corner or interior or edge, but I think that I know that they grabbed a couple guys in the offseason that filled out their D-line a little more. So I expect them to go O-line here and just bolster that up.
I have the Bears picking here, and I think they're going to move back again. I think there's only accumulating more picks. They got the 9th pick. I just don't think they're going to need it. I think they're going to try to move down and try to get another receiver like you had them going. I know you had them going receiver at 9, right?
No, I had them going with Dallas Turner.
Who was I talking about then?
I had the Falcons.
You're talking about the Falcons. Never mind. Okay. I think the Bears actually get a guy. Well, I have a Dunze because I thought Neighbors was going to the Giants, and I didn't have. I think a Dunze. I think they moved down and get a Dunze. I think it's going to be a guy that they want to pair with Caleb Williams. I think they get that type of because you're not going to have Keenan around forever. I don't know how long you're going to have DJ Moore here or in Chicago. Obviously, it's a great situation. I say they get a guy that's is going to be a franchise quarterback, and you pair him with a receiver that's going to be there forever. I just think it makes sense for them to move back a little bit because a lot of these teams, I think Odunze is going to be available. So, and obviously someone might move up in front of them, but I think if he's there, there's no reason they shouldn't pair him if they really like him to go Caleb Williams. So that's what my thought process is.
Fair enough. Give me pick 12.
I think I had this initially the Saints. I think the Broncos are going to trade out of this spot. I don't think I think they're going to draft. I think they're going to get Joe. What's his name? Bo Nix late, but that's regardless of the fact. I think that what's it called? The Saints. I think the Saints move up and they wanted the Penn State guy, but I think they're going to draft the Washington tackle, Troy Fontua. Troy Fontua.
Troy Fautanu.
Sorry. Really bad. I apologize. I think that he's better than the Oregon State tackle. I think the Saints need to bolster their O-line. They have a lot of they're not going to be able to sign any O-linemen. Like their cap is in a hellhole. Do they want to stick with Derek Carr? I don't think so. I think they're upset that they missed out on Penix because I really know a lot of Saints fans want Penix. But I think they're left with no choice because the Vikings shoot up and get Penix. So, and I initially thought Penix was the day 2 guy, but since it's my mock draft, I think JJ McCarthy is going to be the day 2 guy. And I think they switch spots with where a lot of people think they align. I think that it'll be JJ going around 40-ish. So I think they get a Washington tackle here. I think they just bolster that line, and I think that they just get a little nervous and don't want the Raiders drafting. God knows who the Raiders are going to draft, but who do you got the Broncos taking here or pick swap?
Well, I have the guy that you were saying, the Oregon State tackle. I have Tilis Fuaga. I think that, I honestly don't know a whole lot of the difference between, him and who's the other guy you just said?
Troy.
Falcano.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a massive difference between the two. I haven't watched a whole lot of film on the difference between the two of them. So when it comes to the tackle picks here, I could easily, be interchanged by teams in terms of their draft position. But I had him here because he was higher on the prospect list. He had a more complete draft process and, pro day and combine. So I just think that he fits where they need right now. Although as you mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos or the Saints try to go after a quarterback here. It would just almost be shocking to me to see, how many quarterbacks would that be? 6 or 7 go in the first round. It's pretty nuts. So and it's like, are those guys on the back end, the Michael Penix, the JJ McCarthy, the Bo Nix, are they really pro-ready guys? Because I definitely see problems with all of them. But not that I don't see problems with all the quarterbacks here, but like those 3 specifically have pretty glaring problems that could be overcome and could easily be their downfall. So, and with Penix for me, it's his throwing motion, his arm angle, his arm slot. Something about his throwing motion feels weird to me, and it feels long. And I think that he has an incredible arm, and he, gets the ball where it needs to go. It throws a pretty ball. But he almost makes me think of the way Tim Tebow fell out of the league because Tim Tebow had that long looping throwing motion that just never really, settled the right way. So either way, I just have them sticking the same spot, going with that Oregon State tackle, but very interchangeable pick for the Broncos. They're a very questionable team here. So for the 13th pick, I have the Raiders staying in their spot. I do have them as potential trade candidates for the Eagles and a couple other cornerback needy teams. But for now, I have them sticking their spot because they also need a corner, and I have them picking Quinyon Mitchell from Toledo, he's a little bit small in size, but he's projected as the top corner in the draft, top prospect. He has incredible speed, sticks with guys, great man coverage downfield. His technique is great. Obviously, coming from a place like Toledo, he didn't see the top competition that you would see from a lot of the bigger schools, so that raises some questions. But for now, most teams have him as the top-rated corner, so for me, he stays the same.
I think they just good tackle here. I think their whole line is kind of buns. I know they lost. I think they try to build. I got your guy. I basically a swap. The Oregon State guy didn't give up a sack in college, so he's a beast. I just thought the other guy was better. I just thought the Saints had the Washington guy higher on their board, so I got to see Fuaga. I can't say his name correctly. Please forgive me. Don't clip it, Sean. But this guy has not given up a sack in the last 3 years, and he's been a beast. I think that the Raiders have no choice but to attempt to rebuild. I try to get obviously Josh Jacobs is gone now. I think they're going to be the first team to actually draft a running back in this draft. Who is it going to be? I'm not sure, but that's going to be second round. We're not going to talk about that, but I just think they have no choice but to take a top 3 type line guy. It just makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely fair. So who'd you have for 14, rather?
I have the Broncos. I actually have us taking the Broncos spot. But I thought about it, and I think they might get to Cooper DeJean. I think he's a super athletic guy. Obviously he's the white corner from Iowa. That's what everyone knows him as. And he's sick at, he's just a very great athlete. Believe it or not. I think he was set the state record. I heard Harrison Barnes record when he played basketball in high school. I think they move up and get a corner. I know I was against it. I kept saying tackle, but as I was doing my mock draft, I see other teams reaching for tackle earlier. I know we don't need a right tackle right now. I think we addressed that later, I guess, but I think a lot more teams, as I was doing my mock draft, need a tackle more than us. Obviously, we have the left side of our line filled out for years. We'll have to worry about Lane, but I think that Howie's going to try to do everything he can to get a guy that can replace Bradbury, whether it's going to be Ringo during camp that takes it or it's going to be Cooper. I think it's going to be great. And we have Slay going. So we do need a corner. And I really think Cooper DeJean is real. I think he might have he had a great pro day. I know I really wanted to sign Surtain, but I think I don't know if that's feasible at this point.
Trade for Surtain, you mean?
What?
You mean trade for Surtain?
Trade for Surtain. Sorry. Did I say draft?
You said sign.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
No, you're good.
But I think we just move up and we get our guy because that's what Howie wants to do in this draft. I think the Colts wanted to go DB here, and I think we try to surpass them because of that. So I think that the Broncos are very happy because they got a lot more picks than they expected, and they can take I don't see us drafting 9 guys here in this draft. I see us getting out of it. So this is where I see us moving up. I think we like Cooper. Obviously you have a corner that we like better, but I think he's the best corner in the draft outside of your guy. But
well, I don't even necessarily think my guy's the best corner in the draft. I think there's a few guys that the Eagles are definitely looking at. I do think that the Eagles are going to try to go corner, and I'll get into that. But I feel like Cooper DeJean is a guy that would be there at our current pick. I could be wrong. I know there's cornerback needy teams, but I expect the other guys to go off the board before Cooper. So to an extent, I do think that if we were to get Cooper DeJean, I think we get him at our current position in the draft. But I think that if we move up, you should expect a different name.
That's fair.
I could be very wrong with that.
The way I've seen corners move during mock drafts,
corners could go any which way. You can pick them and plug them. It just becomes a preference thing with teams because there's only so much technique that you can go off of. You nitpick little things and just pick a favorite. So, and unfortunately, I've actually seen the Eagles linked to all 4 corners. So I don't know who their preferred guy is. I really don't.
I don't think they want people to know either. So
yeah, exactly. So, I definitely think that that's going to be interesting. And going with that, for my 14th pick, I have the Saints going with Terrion Arnold, the corner from Alabama. So I have two cornerbacks going back to back. I have the Raiders taking Quinyon Mitchell and then the Saints taking Terrion Arnold. Depending on who the Eagles guy is, you might see the Eagles try to trade into this position. Initially, I felt like they might. The more I looked at it, the more I felt like it's a really long way to move up. And I just don't think that the capital you'd have to give up to get that would be worth the return. So I have us trading up, but not that far. And I'll get into that. But for now, I have the 14th pick going to Terrion Arnold, Alabama. And with my 15th pick, also, we're going to start shooting them off a little bit faster now because we're starting to take a little bit long. We're dragging on a little bit here.
Yeah.
So with my 15th pick, I have the Colts taking an interior lineman in Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. Obviously, we saw Oregon have a huge season, and he was a big part of that, integral part of that interior O-line. Not a whole lot to talk about. Dude is huge, moves big people well, and and he's the best guard in the draft. And the Indianapolis Colts' biggest need is their interior O-line, either guard or center. I don't expect them to go tackle here. I expect them to go interior. So that's why Jackson Powers Johnson lands in this spot.
So where are we at, the Colts?
Yeah, 15.
I have them taking Kool-Aid McKitty. I think that I know that's the reason I think the Eagles move up here. I think that they get a little nervous about the Colts taking someone in the secondary, and that's the reason, because that's your guy. If they want him there, go for it.
Way to spoil it, asshole.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, I would have moved right by it if you just let me go into Terrion Arnold. I think Kool-Aid's better than Terrion Arnold. I think Terrion Arnold actually drops, even though his ranking's above Kool-Aid. But at this point, like I think that's the reason. I think the Colts are content on they were content on taking Kool-Aid there anyway. I just think that's the reason I understand why you think Cooper's going to drop, but I just think that Howie doesn't care and just wants to get his guy before some of these teams come in and snag these other corners. So
he very well might. It's just hard to tell who is his guy. Because I said, I've seen us linked to all four of Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and Cooper DeJean. Yeah. So it really does just come down to which one did Howie decide on, because he's going to go for it. I think no matter who it is that he wants, he's going to make the move for it. Or you'll see him trade for Patrick Surtain. I think you'll see one of those things. But I do very much feel strongly on us going after corner in the first round because of the guys presented to us. Yeah.
Next pick. Do you want me to am I going next?
Yeah, give me the next two. Give me Seattle and Jaguars.
Seattle and Jaguars. I have Chop Robinson going to Seattle, and I have initially I have what's his friggin' name? I have Zach Frazier going to the Jaguars. I just found a guard that looks suitable for the Jaguars. For Seattle,
very hard to mock draft O lineman because that's another preference position.
Exactly. I didn't know anything about him for the Jaguars pick. I just think they grabbed the guard here. I think they try to help out Travis and T-Law in one pick, and I think that the Seattle goes edge rusher here. I think there's a lot more edge rushers on the board and there's interior guys, but I think that Seattle goes outside here, and I think Chop Robinson is going to be sick. I think he's a beast out of Penn State. I got a lot of some of these rankings have his counterpart higher than him, but I think Chop's better, and I think that's where they go with this pick. And just like the Jaguars, I just think they bolster their O-line here. I think they take the best guard available, and that's who a lot of other people had to rank higher. I'm sorry, I'm not a guard expert, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of skill position players, but that's just who I have going here.
That's okay. We're relatively in the same boat when it comes to that. I know a few of the tackles. I don't know a whole lot about the interior O-linemen. But regardless of that, for the 16th pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks also going with edge, but I have them going with a different guy here. I have them going with Jared Verse from FSU. Jared Verse is a guy who is highly ranked on boards. He's shot up a lot. He was a guy who was draft ready last year, but decided to take his talents back, develop a little bit more, and get a little more sharp and honed, which to me makes him one of the most pro-ready edges in in the draft here, which is why I have him going a little higher than Chop Robinson, who I also think is a very good player. But with my 17th pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have them going offensive tackle here with J.C. Latham from Alabama. Huge guy. The dude's just monstrous. And you saw Trevor Lawrence take a lot of sacks last year. You see him take a lot of sacks in his career. They haven't really ever had a steady O-line, and I think that's a good place to start. You've got a lot of offensive tackles in this draft. Why not go after it and just bolster it up? Not to mention that I think there's a few guys underneath of him that could easily go in that spot between Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton. But regardless, I just felt like J.C. Latham fit in that spot. Obviously, he's from a top-tier school in Alabama, and a dude is just absolutely massive. Takes up a hell of a lot of space. So I'm going to jump right into 17 and 18. And with my 17th pick, that's the one I just did. Sorry about that. I'm going to jump into 18 and 19. And I had the Eagles trading up to 18 here with the Bengals. And I have us taking, as you've heard from our annoying co-host over here, I have us taking Kool-Aid McKinstry here. He obviously had a great career at Alabama. He's become very noteworthy name among lots of fans throughout the country. I do think that a lot of his highlights tend to feel like he is just in the right place at the right time. You don't get to see a lot of his technique at work in all of his highlights. I do think that no matter what way you look at it, though, he was a top tier corner for a top tier program against all the top tier talent in the league. And I think you saw him not only excel there, but be a star there. And I absolutely think that Kool-Aid McKinstry has what it takes to be a star player in this league. And that's why I have us moving up from our spot to try to grab this guy rather than Cooper DeJean, who I think Cooper DeJean has that athletic ability. He could even be better than him. Obviously, I don't know. I just think that Kool-Aid McKinstry and even like this might sound bad, but like even his name holds more weight than Cooper DeJean's has in their careers playing so far. And I'm not saying because his name's
Kool-Aid. Like no debate there.
No, I'm not saying because his name is Kool-Aid. I'm saying in terms of we've all known who Kool-Aid McKinstry is for a long time now. And I just feel like the dude is just built for stardom. Personally, that's just an opinion thing. I don't have anything to go off of with that. That's just a gut feeling for me. And that's honestly, to me, one of the only differentiators in why I would choose him over Cooper. But as you said, as I said, I'm going Kool-Aid here. And actually, let's hear what you have to say about that because it's an Eagles pick.
I just think that I mean I can see it working out perfectly. Obviously, guys like the SEC, or Howie's loved the SEC. I really apologize for saying your pick. It kind of just wanted to have the conversation earlier because I do think we move.
I'm just kidding, dude. I couldn't care less.
I know. I was like, when I said, I was like, damn it. I honestly thought you were moving up to that pick, so I thought you were going to say it right after we're going to have this conversation. I think that Kool-Aid is a guy that Fangio actually liked, which I heard someone on the radio, but we also been linked to everyone. I think Cooper is just more overall like athletic. I just think he's going to work out better in the league. I just think that Kool-Aid's a guy that's very Howie pick and a very on paper. It seems like that's where we're going. That's the only reason I think we're going to go elsewhere with Cooper, because I think Cooper has an X factor of being just super athletic. That he could even play slot like this year. I don't know if Kool-Aid can do that. He might be able to, but I think Cooper is able to adjust, and I think that's going to be. I think they might have had a really good workout. I could see him doing really good in the combine and winning over a team with Cooper, and just seeing his sneaky athleticism, as we say.
To me, as an Eagles fan, man, I personally I don't even really see a particular heavy edge between all four of the guys on the board, including the guys that goes first to the guy that goes fourth between those corners. I don't really have a preference between any of the four of them. I would be happy with any of the four of them. I just think the corner is our most needy position right now, which is why I have us going for it. And I think that we're in a position where we want to win now, especially with all the extensions we've just made and all the signings we've had. We obviously have money to work with for now, but that cap is eventually going to catch up with us. We have seen how we work with that before and avoid it and get around it and whatnot. But for the time being, the way I'm thinking is that we've got a 4-year period here that we really want to make work to its fullest extent. And for me to make it to its fullest extent, you have to go after the most needed positions right now and not go after, a depth piece for the future or, someone to develop. In the first round, you got to get a guy that's going to start right away. And to me, it's got to be corner. And I think that, like I said, any one of those guys I would be happy with.
And I know we're going long, so could I just say who I thought before, like I kind of got in the conversation even for corner, because I think we're going corner at this point, who I thought we were going to draft?
Yeah, go ahead.
Amarius Mims. He's the right tackle from Georgia.
That would be the case.
He was such a beast. Obviously, I'm not gonna say another Georgia Bulldogs name. It's really hard to say how he's going to draft all these guys. I just really think that he might move up and get a right tackle for the future. It's a very Howie-ass thing to do. You're going to let him be behind Lane. It makes a lot of sense, not because he went to Georgia, just because he gave up no sacks, no hits the past 3 years, recorded wise. Obviously, he's on the right side of the line in college, and he's going to be a number 1 pick. But just seeing him, he's able to play the right side terrifically. That's the guy I'd see. Obviously, Georgia, we want to keep laughing about the Georgia Bulldog Eagles, but it's the Philadelphia Bulldogs. But it's just it seems like just a fit that you want a corner, yes. But can we have Ringo? We got Maddox back? And it might just be that for the future that maybe one of these corners drop to the second round and we still have those 2 second round picks, or we move up and get Amarius Mims before the Bengals. That's who I think that we're going to draft regardless of getting a corner. If we did get a corner, I would. If we don't, I would expect a right tackle. So
I agree. I think that those are the only 2 ways that we could go, and it would be either to O-tackle or to corner. You can maybe see an edge in there if one of them were to fall, like a Chop Robinson or Jared Verse, but still pretty unlikely. And I only say that because of the Hassan Reddick trade, and obviously we've seen how he loved edges in the past and D-line. But alas, I really feel that corner is the most needed spot, and I guess we're just gonna have to see. It's coming up soon, so let's keep this rolling here so we can get through this a little quicker. At the 19th pick, I have the Los Angeles Rams taking Byron Murphy II, D tackle from Texas.
Wow.
I definitely think that to me, I felt like it was an easy choice for them to just go right after a replacement for Darren Donald. Immediately becomes a need for them. Their D-line becomes not so scary now that Aaron Donald isn't there. And you've got guys available at D tackle that, are going to be down there at their spot. And Byron Murphy specifically is the kind of guy that packs a punch, but is a little bit smaller than people think he should be. And I think that's exactly why the Rams are going to be fawning over him, because he's going to fit that same kind of, image that Aaron Donald did. He might not turn into an Aaron Donald, but also I could see why they would see the appeal in him because of it. So that's where I have him going.
I actually had the same exact pick, believe it or not. He's 6 foot tall, 300 pounds. This man ran a 4.9. It just screams like Rams just replacing Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald retiring. It's not Aaron Donald, because no one is ever going to be Aaron Donald. This man has had a great career at Texas. I mean, not great, honestly. Just had a great season this year. But it just seems like it seems like he has the potential to literally kind of match that type of feel. And I couldn't agree with you more. That's exactly where I went, exactly how I looked at it. And that's
that's exactly what I was thinking.
It just makes sense. It just fits like a shoe.
It does. So for the 20th pick, I have the Steelers taking Amarius Mims here. I think they obviously just went out and got their 2 quarterbacks. They, not only went and got Russell Wilson for the next year or 2, but they solidified potentially using Justin Fields after that for the foreseeable future. So you want to get a guy that's going to, protect those guys. They have a few other needs that could fill in, but because they're a little bit later back in the draft, unless they're to trade up, the guys available at that position are, limited. And I think that offensive tackle is the best way to go for them there.
Yeah, I have him taking a center. I have him taking Jackson Powers Johnson. I know you had him. I think you had him going earlier.
Yeah, I had him going to the Colts.
So I just think they take the best center available for them, or the best tackle.
Is he a center? I thought he was a guard.
Is he a guard?
I'm not sure. Maybe one of us is wrong.
I don't know why I thought he was a center.
I think it might have just came up as an interior O line for me. I just wrote it down as that.
On PFF, it has him listed as center, but regardless, I think they do go either lineman, or I think they get a center. I think they draft the best center. I don't even know if he'll be there or if he is playing guard, but I think they draft the best center available here. They just need. I don't know what they're gonna do with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, but they need help. I could also see them going receiver here, but regardless, I don't see a receiver on the board they might really like. So, got 20. So, yeah. And Miami situation, I actually have them taking. Is Xavier Howard staying?
Don't know.
I just looked it up, and he's kind of a free agent, but it's also late. I had him taking a corner here. I actually had him taking because I had the Toledo quarter move way down my board. But Mitchell, but I have them going Quinyon Mitchell here. Quinyon, whatever. Sorry. But he's super fast. It seems like a Miami guy that just they have decent safeties, and I think
they have speed.
They have speed. All they want is speed. They just want to add the speed. They just want Raheem, Tyreek, and Waddle all to race at camp, and that's what they're gonna do with their pick. I'm grasping for straws, but
for my pick here, I have them taking Johnny Newton, D tackle from Illinois. Johnny Newton, I honestly don't know a whole lot about him. He was actually a higher prospect on the board than Byron Murphy was. I just felt that Byron Murphy fit better into the Rams because of his size thing and the Aaron Donald thing. Everything just fit like a shoe. Where'd I go? There. Johnny Newton. Yeah, I think that they just lost Christian Wilkins. They obviously have a big need to fill a D tackle now. Need someone to plug up that middle of the line. And I know that their run defense was already subpar before. So I think they're going to try to bolster that spot and try to, attack the run game. So I think you see them go D tackle there.
Yeah, I had the Broncos switch with us. So I had the UCLA guy, Latu. He's an edge rusher guy. I can't say any of these guys' names.
Latu.
Yeah, he was a beast. He might go way earlier than any of us put on our boards. He had 15 sacks last year. Just incredible. I think that he might have slipped. I don't think he'll slip this far, but because I kind of forgot about him when I was going through the D tackle and everything. So, and I think I like Chop as a prospect better. So I think he might slip, and I think it's just a steal for Denver here because Denver usually just has that type of guy because they're incredible at like Bradley Chubb, but they got rid of him. But either way, I just feel like he's just going to get there and he's going to be a beast, and we're all going to be like, oh, how'd they get him? So, but that's just I don't know why I moved them down so far just to the Broncos because I just think
I've actually got him going not this pick but the pick after, and the only reason there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that. But Here I have I obviously had us trading with the Cincinnati Bengals from 18 to 22. So I have the Cincinnati Bengals taking Cooper DeJean here. I felt like the reason I had us trading with the Bengals is because they were the next cornerback needy team. They may go with a cornerback, and I think that in the spot that we're at and the way I've, portrayed these corners and think they're all relatively similar in their ability and potential, I think that you can convince the Bengals, I'll give you a little stock in Cooper DeJean if you give me Kool-Aid McKinstry. And it's not a far spot to move up or down. Makes sense for both teams. I just think it would work out that way. Or there's no trade at all, and I think that we take Cooper DeJean at 22. But alas, in my mock draft, Cincinnati Bengals, Cooper DeJean here. So for the 23rd pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Latu. And what I was going to say is that I think that he could be easily interchangeable with Jared Verse at 16. But to me, I picked Jared Verse because of his size, his stature, the way he was draft ready last year and went back and polished his skills. I think that he might be more pro ready, and I think teams might think of him as being more pro ready. And I think that might be the only reason you see him take an edge there. Pun intended. Not intended, actually. But either way, I think that but there's only a few edge needy teams in that span of picks, which is why you see such a far slip from 16 all the way down to 23 in the difference maker. So I just have him going here at 23 for that reason.
Okay. I have who do I have? Chicago moving down.
This isn't Minnesota's first pick. This is their second pick.
Oh, that's what I thought. I was like, what? Okay, I think they're gonna go Xavier Worthy. I think they're just gonna get speed. I think he's a 4-2-1 type guy. I think it might. I personally don't think he's gonna be a great receiver. I just think speed next to Jay Jets is just key for success because he gets so many eyes. I personally think Donnie Mitchell's better from Texas, but I think Worthy. I've seen him fly out draft boards just because of his speed. Just if he can get his catch radius down and be like not drop balls, I think that it's a perfect fit because it'll just help. I think it's all for Jay Jets, their first two picks. I think it's just bolster the offense and make it better. So
fair enough. Absolutely. So for the 24th pick, I have the Dallas Cowboys taking Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas. So to me, as I've watched the Cowboys draft over the years, it feels like they always try to get a noteworthy, robust name kind of guy. And I don't think that they have a lot of help in their wide receiver core right now outside of CeeDee Lamb. They obviously lost Michael Gallup. I think that this just fills that second position for them, gives another guy for Dak to throw to. I think that Jerry Jones has always gone after the skill guys high in the draft, as opposed to the way other teams kind of go after like the line or the secondary. He tends to always go after the noteworthy guy. So, and I think that Xavier Worthy, it's not Xavier Worthy, sorry, Adonai Mitchell has been a big name throughout this draft process. And I think that he would fill a good spot for them. And that would definitely, unfortunately, be a dangerous duo between him and CeeDee Lamb that I wouldn't prefer to see, but I could see them going that way.
No, I can completely see that. I had him taking Brian Thomas here just because I want the Dallas to take Brian Thomas. I think that he was just a pure factor of how well Jaden Daniels played. I just hate the Cowboys, and I really hope they take Brian Thomas because I don't know if he's going to be that good, and he plays on the outside, so it wouldn't make any sense for them to take him here. I just try to give him a crappy pick because it's my mock draft, and you guys can't tell me what to do.
Fair enough. Can't call you wrong there.
I'm sorry. For the Packers, I have them taking Jazier Newton at 25. You mentioned him earlier. He went already. I just think they get a guy to bolster the D-line. He had 8 sacks. He was just a guy that's always going to just rush the quarterback. He's a bigger guy. I think he's 6'3". But I just think that fits the Packers perfectly. Along with just their outside edge rushers. So that's where I'm going for the Packers.
Yeah, for 25, I actually have a trade here. I have the Packers trading down with the Detroit Lions, and I have the Detroit Lions drafting here, taking Nate Wiggins from Clemson. Household hallmark name from a top tier program. Great corner. I know he's not one of the top guys out of those 4 that we've mentioned, but he fits a role for a team that needs a cornerback desperately after they just lost Sutton to a domestic violence charge. So they're left without any corners right now. I think that's like an emergency need for them right now. Like they weren't expecting to have to draft corner here. I think they have to draft corner here. So unless they move up, I think they're going to move up further. I think that they're going to take that pick from the Packers and take Nate Wiggins. And then what's up?
Go ahead. No, I didn't say anything.
And then for 26, I have the Buccaneers taking Chop Robinson down here. I think the Bucs, their biggest need is edge rusher. Their defense definitely needs a big bolstering. I know they struggled against the run game last year as well. And as you've mentioned before, Chop Robinson had a great career over at Penn State. Showed a lot of talent, a lot of upside. Big, strong guy that can move guys. And I think he's going to be exactly what they need over there.
I had Nate Wiggins going to Tampa. I think that they struggled at corner this year, and I think it's a needy address. I completely understand what you're saying with Sutton. Obviously, they lost CJ. I think that was kind of a sneaky, kind of like forward look or like a future look that they could move up, honestly, in this draft, even further. And that might be another reason the Eagles even move up because they are scared that the Lions move up. But the Lions are all like difference between 22 and 29 is a lot. So
absolutely. And that's why I didn't have us moving all the way up to 13, where we would need to get to get a guy that we want up there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was scared of the Colts, but yeah. So I got Nate Wiggins going there. For the Bills, or what do I got next?
Cardinals, 27.
Cardinals. I have them trading out of the spot. I think that they could. I have them trading. I had actually just the Bills moving up, just swapping picks basically and getting a third. I think the Bills see Adonai Mitchell on their board and they like him a lot. I don't know what receiver they like. I just think they go receiver here. I saw Adonai Mitchell. I like Adonai Mitchell. They need a receiver. I don't know where they're going to address it.
It's really the only reasonable spot for them to address it. The other guys on the board are too far up in the draft for them to move up to. They really they obviously need a wide receiver. I also have the Bills taking a receiver here. Well, at their pick, but I didn't have a trade there. But yeah, they have to go wide receiver. They don't have anybody. Matt Collins is their number one receiver, and we all know Matt Collins doesn't really fit that role.
No, he's not.
So, no, you got any more points?
No, I was going to say the Cardinals pick because I just switched them. So,
okay.
I got Tyler Guyton going to the Cardinals. I think he's a fairly decent tackle from Oklahoma. I think he's kind of disrespected in his rankings. I think he's a first round type talent that is probably going to fall to the second round. But I think he's a first round type talent. But
he's another massive guy.
Yeah.
Really, really big size. But at 27 for the Arizona Cardinals, I have them taking Troy Fautanu. We've talked about the interchangeable interior lineman part in terms of which guys are going to consider this guy to be their guy and this guy to be their guy and whatnot. But in terms of, who's going to go after interior O-line, this is where I had it. And I've got Troy Fautanu going to the Cardinals, just bolstering their line for, an already previously hurt Kyler Murray. And at 28, like I said, I have the Bills going wide receiver, and I have them taking Xavier Worthy here because I had Adonai Mitchell off my board. Not much to that. Xavier Worthy is obviously just a huge, huge speed guy. And quite honestly, he's one of the last wide receivers on the board here. I do have one more sneaky guy down at the bottom of my board here, but I think that Xavier Worthy is the guy that they're going to have to go after unless they try to move up and grab Adonai Mitchell, or if he falls to him. And then for 29, where the Green Bay Packers traded back with the Lions in my draft, I have them taking Tyler Guyton. And I'm not going to get too much into that because we just talked about it.
Okay, that's perfect. For the Lions, I actually had them going Jordan Morgan. I had them taking a tackle, but they don't need a tackle. So I try to rethink my pick and get a guard. But I think they just go line here. It's kind of a shot in the dark who I think they're going to take it O-line. I could definitely see them moving up to take a quarter. But they want it hurt to boost their line, and they just went for Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery. They love to pound the ball. And I think they have just a great team. I think if their line is just even more solid, it can't hurt them.
Absolutely. You can
For
never
the
go
Ravens
wrong
pick,
with O-line. Games won and lost on the line of scrimmage.
yeah. For the Ravens pick, I actually have them taking who I want the Eagles taking in the second round. I have them taking Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and at
That's an
linebacker
interesting pick.
because they're getting rid of Patrick. They just got rid of Patrick Queen to the Steelers. I feel like the Ravens always take a linebacker that I want, and I really want Jeremiah Trotter Jr. on the Eagles. Obviously, his dad played here. It's this guy that would be perfectly fit here if he actually went to his production. I just think he's the first linebacker off the board. I know the NC State guy is that type of guy, and I really hope we pull in a Kobe Dean type thing and he drops all the way down because us drafting a linebacker.
I expect us to go after him in the second round, but you continue though.
I would love that, and I think it's going to be perfect for us if he's able to follow us. But I just think the Ravens are just like, oh, like, but they also lost Zay Flowers, so this is also is Zay Flowers out this season? Do we have any more news on him?
No news on that. He's not expected to be out as of now, I believe.
So I just know that we're not going to get Jeremiah Trotter, and I'm hoping that's wrong.
Hot take from me. I think that Howie's going to move mountains to make sure that we get Jeremiah Trotter in the second day.
That would be sick.
I think that he's going to do whatever it takes to get him in day 2. But I suppose it really depends on how high that pick will end up being. So,
yeah.
But you heard it here first.
I hope so, dude. I really hope. I just know that the Ravens always use like Patrick Queen. I love Roquan Smith. I really wanted instead of we got that other guy from the Bears. That guy didn't play a snap for us. D tackle. Bears.
Talking about Robert Quinn.
Either way, yeah, that's what I have. Who got the Ravens taken?
I've got the Ravens taking an edge rusher here. I do have them sticking on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to have them taking Darius Robinson from Missouri. Honestly, can't lie here. I'm just going to come out straight and say it. I don't know a whole lot about the guy. I just went position-based here. I felt like they needed an edge. Darius Robinson was high on draft boards and prospect rankings. So, yeah, I can't lie here. Don't have a lot of information for you guys. Just think that they are going to try to bolster their D-line and go after it. I see what you're saying about the linebacker thing. I know they've gone after that, but they already did give all this money to Roquan Smith. So I think that they will probably go after linebacker, just not first day. So yeah.
But either way, for the Niners pick, I think they replace Chase Young with the other Penn State guy, Adise Isaac. I don't know much about him. I just think they go D end here. He had 9 sacks last year. Obviously, the Penn State D line was just with him and Chop on both sides was very, very prolific. I just think that the Niners try to get a guy that just only going to make their D line more sick. They're probably what's up with Hargrave and them? Did they have a contract under him?
Hargrave? He's with them for like 4 years. He's fine.
Okay. Well, maybe they don't go D line, but their D line stacked. I just feel like they just always make it more stacked. So and they scare me. So
they're definitely. I wouldn't be surprised to see them bolster the defensive side of the ball. Their offensive side of the ball really is set as far as I'm aware. I think that they need some offensive. They have some offensive line needs, I believe. But other than that, their position in the draft, they're not really in a great spot to grab one of those top tier guys. So I actually have them going bolstering their corner position here and trying to bolster their defense with Ennis Rakestraw Jr. from Missouri. Once again, these Missouri guys have me lost. I didn't watch any Missouri last year, so I don't have a lot of opinions for you there. Have to watch a little bit more of Rakestraw Jr. If you want to know my honest opinion for why I chose him here, he just sounded like a name that I could see on the 49ers.
Hey, it's an awesome.
Once again, I do think they're going to try to bolster their quarterback position. So on these teams that I didn't know the guy that I was giving them, I knew what position I think they're going to try to go after and bolster. And I think that they're going to go for corner here and try to go with Ennis Rakestraw Jr.
Yeah, I like that. That's perfect. And then the last pick of the first round, I have the Chiefs going with who's the wide receiver? Troy Franklin from Arizona. From Oregon. He's just a really fast guy, runs a 4.4. He's 6'2". I think him and Hollywood would just be very scary to watch together with Patrick Mahomes. And I don't know the whole Rashid Rice thing. I don't actually know if the Chiefs are going wide receiver here, but it would be really scary if they got a speed guy that's also just the great downfield threat. So I think that'd be insanely scary, actually. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I think this projected pick is my favorite one in the draft. It's probably the most unlikely, but I personally think this is such an Andy Reid pick right here. And based off their needs of last year, I think this fits perfectly. With the 32nd pick in the first round, I have the Chiefs selecting Ladd McConkey from Georgia. Obviously, Ladd McConkey is the kind of guy that kind of brings back like Ryan Switzer vibes. He was a utility guy that could do everything, had a lot of success at Georgia. In terms of, his highlight ability, the things he was able to do at Georgia, the production that he put up, he should be in the top echelon of talent in this draft. However, when it comes to potential wise, a lot of people think that he's probably met his potential, probably can't quite push past his extent that he's at right now. So that's why a lot of people don't have him going in one of the top, positions in the draft. But in terms of the Kansas City Chiefs, I think that a utility guy is perfect for Andy Reid. I think he fits that role perfectly for him. Andy Reid could find a lot of ways to use him. And obviously, as everybody in the league saw, the Chiefs really struggled with their wide receiver core last year. They lost Rashid Rice, most likely to, his allegations and his crime problem right now. And I know they went out and got Hollywood Brown, but I don't see any reason that they wouldn't want to add another guy for Patrick Mahomes to throw to, because you've got the best quarterback in the world. Why do you want to make it harder on him than it needs to be? Give him two, reasonable receivers, and he'll probably take you pretty damn far with it. So I personally think they might try to go after wide receiver here, and Ladd McConkey is that guy.
All righty.
Yes, sir. Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, what other guys you want the Eagles look for in the draft, / any notable things that you would like to see?
Man, not really. I think we've already hit on the fact that the only other name that I want to see us go after in this draft is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I'd love to see him in an Eagles uniform. Obviously, legacy thing with Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Bringing him back over here too. But other than that, I would love to see us, go after some O-line and D-line per usual, and maybe some, another corner late in the draft, just so we can bolster that spot a little bit further in some depth. But really, outside of these top guys, these top two rounds, I just want to see us bolster spots. I only want to see us picking for starters in the first two rounds, and then just bolstering our positions in the depth field, behind that spot. So I'm excited to see what Howie has planned.
Dude, I love Jeremiah Trotter too. If Will Shipley, he's a running back from Clemson, falls out of the fourth round, I would be ecstatic to take him. I think he's the best running back in this draft class. I watched a little too much of him. I kind of have a crush on him. But obviously it's just based on his grade.
Did you hear me? I said, what about Corum?
I think Corum's going to go higher, but I think Will Shipley's better. I also I just have a crush on guys that get out in the passing game. I think he would be perfect. He'd complement the Saquon and be able to literally just come in and run the same place. We have Gainwell. I understand that, but if he falls to the fifth round, I do not see a reason not to take a shot in the dark with him.
No, absolutely. I wouldn't mind it. I mean, we do have a pretty full backfield in terms of, the guys we like, because they obviously very much like, what's his name? Gainwell and Boston Scott. So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they do that, but I personally wouldn't be mad at it.
I don't think they will, but I'm just kind of spewing. I think Theo Johnson going to be great from Penn State, the tight end. He ran a tremendous combine. We're not getting him because we got CJ. What's his freaking name? Zama. I can't.
CJ
Azuma. There we go. I'm just looking at so many names right now, scrolling through this draft board, trying to find any other notable guys. No, like you said, I would love for if we don't draft. My thing is, I think that we need to at least attempt to draft Lane Johnson's replacement at some point in this draft, ideally, just so we can play behind him. And
I think you will.
I think he will too. But if it's not first round, then I think it'll definitely be somewhere in this draft. And we have gone for our longest podcast ever.
Absolutely.
So, congratulations.
Yeah, for anybody that sat through the whole thing, we appreciate you greatly. This has been a long ride. Yeah, definitely a long one, but we wanted to get this mock draft in for you guys before the draft. See if you guys, wanted to bounce any opinions off of us. Anything you might agree with, disagree with. We hope you comment. Let us know what you think. But once again, as always, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it, even if it was for a little segment of it, whether it's the whole video or not. Much appreciated very much. And if you can, please like this video and feel free to subscribe if you like the content we put out. After the draft, we'll obviously, break down the Eagles draft class and talk about that. Maybe talk about some other noteworthy picks from the other NFL teams. And we will be coming back to you guys in the next few weeks, giving you that episode. So, Maslij, any last thoughts here?
We'll just know a lot more about these guys after, because there's so many people like that. I no idea. Matt has no idea. We can't watch film on all these guys. We're not college football guys. We're NFL guys. So we learn more about these guys through the process, through watching the draft, and through seeing their highlights. So I know not everyone was a perfect breakdown of why we like or don't like a guy. Just know that we'll have every breakdown of every Eagles guy that we get, and yeah, it's good.
Yes, sir. So thank you guys for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Make sure you tune into this week's draft on Thursday, and we will see what the future of the Eagles is going to look like.
Hell yeah.
So thank you guys, and let's go Birds.
Go Birds.
See you guys soon.